freedom of speech at the University of Arizona.
Expression of ideas and free speech should be supported for everyone.
And a Tucson music festival goes big.
And as long as you like music, there's something here for you.
This is Metro Week. Hi, I'm Vanessa Barchfield. Thanks for joining us. The U of A is a major economic, cultural, and intellectual driver in Tucson. This week, we talk shop with new president Robert Robbins and a look at businesses around campus. That and more after a look at the week's top stories from the Arizona Public Media Newsroom.
The Tucson Unified School District's governing board named interim superintendent Gabriel Trujillo as the permanent superintendent Tuesday night. The board voted 4-1 in favor of Trujillo's appointment. Michael Stegeman was the lone no vote. He said he didn't think it was correct that the board held the public vote before contract negotiations were finished. Trujillo took over as interim in March after previous superintendent H.T. Sanchez was dismissed by the board. A federal judge ruled Tuesday that the state violated the constitutional rights of students in the Tucson Unified School District when it threatened to withhold funding unless a Mexican-American Studies program ended. The case dates to a 2010 state law that prohibits classes that promote resentment towards a class or race, teach the overthrow of the federal government, are designed for a particular ethnic group, or promote ethnic solidarity. The judge said racial animus prompted the law and its enforcement. He's asking both sides to suggest remedies for the district. U.S. Senator Jeff Flake received an award this week in Tucson from the Arizona Sheriff's Association. The group is honoring Flake for his actions in June during the shooting at a congressional baseball practice in the Washington, D.C. area. Flake rushed to the field where he provided aid to Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise.
We honor you for your valor and compassion. We believe you represent the best of Arizona, and we are proud to call you one of our senators.
Flake says he's touched by the award but doesn't think he deserved it. He says there were other heroes that day, including the Capitol Police. For more on all of the week's top stories, you can always visit our website. That address, news.azpm.org.
Tucson's sleepy summer season has come to an official end with classes at the U of A back in session. We're here on campus to ask what's new this year. The school year began with one of those real-life teaching experiences, at least for professors in the astronomy department, as members of the campus community flocked outdoors on the first day of classes to look up and watch as our moon devoured a large portion of the sun. And then it was over, and students turned their attention back to their phones and books and settling into their new lives on campus. According to the university, 10,000 new undergraduate students from all 50 states joined the Tucson community this week. Robert Robbins, the U of A's new president, rolled up his sleeves to help them move in. With the new first-year transfer and grad students, the U of A's population is more than 40,000. Enrollment of in-state students has grown over the past few years and is up 7% since 2015. And this year's incoming freshman class is the most diverse in the university's history, with 46% of all students coming from what the U of A calls diverse backgrounds. The university takes its official census in mid-September, but if last year's trend continues, freshman enrollment could dip a bit. Campus officials have said that's a national trend and is a result of birth rates dropping about 18 years ago. To offset that, the U of A has ramped up its recruiting of non-traditional and international students. People like Zara Hassan. She's a freshman from Oman who says she has a lot to look forward to about this year.
I think making new friends and meeting people from different places, because this U of A is quite diverse, and so it will be nice in knowing more people.
This isn't just Zara Hassan and the 10,000 other new students first semester on campus. It's also the first academic year for the U of A's new president, Robert Robbins. I visited his office this week, and we started off by talking about how his first few months on the job have gone.
I have been going from 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock every day, trying to meet as many people as I can to listen and learn and figure out how I can help them realize their hopes and dreams.
The university has, of course, been focusing a lot on international recruitment. And yet, I reported earlier this year that there was a dip in international applications. Has that trend continued, and how much of that can be attributed to a change in federal immigration policy under the Trump presidency?
Well, I think what I heard is immediately after the election, there was a nationwide decrease in applications, or at least inquiries of 34%. We've not seen that. We have strong international numbers. I was able to meet with all of our incoming international students, and there must have been over 800. And when I ask, I think we're down a little bit, but certainly not 34%.
I was out on campus the other day as students were returning and spoke with a number of students, and I asked some returning students for advice that they would give to newcomers, and I would like to play that for you.
Take the free pizza. Take all the free food. Don't overwork yourself too much. You'll have plenty of time for that later.
Don't take 8 a.m.s, go to class, actually take notes.
Definitely rent your textbooks, 100%. Get involved on campus.
Don't worry about your grades as much. Don't try to get straight A's and push yourself. Sometimes people are more important than the grades.
I know you think you can wake up for it. You can't. You will hate yourself. 9 a.m. is the earliest you should ever schedule something, and even that will be too early by the second week of school.
So what advice do you have for newcomers?
I think they should listen to all the advice given here. These are sage veteran students, and I couldn't disagree with any of the things except maybe try to get straight A's. It'd be so cool to get straight A's.
When I was speaking with students, I also collected some questions that they had for you. And one student mentioned free speech on campus.
There's this 1 week, Jub Week, something like that in the spring, and there's a guy who comes down and he caused a fuss on campus, and I feel like that should get changed within the next year.
You don't want him to be able to?
No, even though it's a public campus, it just causes a lot of stress for students.
What is the role of free speech? How far does free speech go? And is there any speech that the U of A doesn't consider sort of protected?
I think that in general, we should be a place that people are free to express their ideas and their views. I'm told that there is a local minister who stands on the mall and spews these views that are oftentimes offensive to most reasonable people. And I think that, and my understanding is that he's been supported to have his right to stand on our mall and deliver these diatribes about his beliefs. But my understanding is he was removed from campus because he physically was aggressive and assaulted a student or someone on campus. So I think that that's sort of an exemplar of the context with which we kind of operate here. Expression of ideas and free speech should be supported for everyone on the far right and the far left.
Last year, a speech by white supremacist Richard Spencer at Texas A&M elicited a big controversy. A number of universities have since blocked him from appearing on their campuses. I asked President Robbins what the U of A's stance would be on a white supremacist delivering a talk here.
My sense is these kind of events are potentially cause an environment where we would be concerned about the safety of everyone involved. And so I would say the better part of valor would be to deny the request to have those kind of rallies, events here.
The Arizona Board of Regents has decided to continue offering in-state tuition to Dreamer students while the state Supreme Court rather decides on the legality of that. What's the U of A's stance on that?
Well, we support the Regents' position on this, and my understanding is that this will play out in the courts and it'll be decided, and whatever is decided, of course, will follow the law. But we're very happy about ABOR's position, and we are supportive of their position on our behalf and the other two universities in the state.
Another person I spoke to on campus was actually a rabbi who works with Jewish students on campus. And he had a question for you about diversity.
Many times over the past year, I've received different voices of maybe concern about the marginalization of the Jewish voice on campus.
Could you talk about the importance of diversity on campus, and how is the university making sure that no voice is being marginalized?
Yeah, well, I'm disappointed to hear that. I would love to speak to the rabbi and speak to the Jewish students about their idea about how they're being marginalized, because I think that nobody should be marginalized. The voice, the opinions, the right to be here and have be included, not just show up and have diversity, but actually be included. Our chief diversity officer and I were speaking about this yesterday, and he used a great analogy. It's not enough to just be invited to the dance, you should be invited to dance. And so I think every member of the university family should be included, asked to dance, supported, respected. As I've said, we have to love all of God's children, whatever your God is. We have to be inclusive and bring people together. That's the role of the university. As I said in my opening statement, this should be a safe harbor for everyone to come and to celebrate the intellectual exchange of ideas.
I was speaking with Jonathan Overpeck on the show, I think about 2 weeks ago, just before he left the U of A for the University of Michigan. And he said one of the reasons he decided to leave was because the U of A's
step back from their investment in the environment, and I hope it's only temporary.
Can you speak to that? Do you expect to increase investment in programs related to climate change?
Well, I think that, number one, Peck is a very respected environmentalist, and we're sad to see him go. I came in and I think the proverbial train had left the station, the bell had been rung, the horse was out of the barn on his decision, because I would have loved to have been able to work with him. Having said that, I do not believe for a minute we are decreasing our support for the, I think, almost 300 people who do environmental research and teaching in that area. It's one of the great strengths of the University of Arizona and will continue to be. I can't tell you how our strategic plan will turn out, because it'll be a plan that will be put together by all stakeholders. I would be surprised if one of the major focuses on the strategic plan for the next 5, 10, 15 years for this university wouldn't be the environment. This is one of the things that we are very, very strong in. It's one of the things that, as I've often said, we need to use the Wayne Gretzky law. We need to not skate to where the puck is now, but where we think it's going to be. And clearly, environmental issues around water and arid environments, around the way to produce more food with limited land and climate issues are going to be important. And we're a land-grant institution. We've got a very strong School of Agriculture and Life Sciences. And the intersection between agriculture and the environment and health in the environment are very, very important to the future of this university.
President Robbins says regarding faculty, he has two priorities.
Certainly something that I am going to be very focused on is recruiting and retaining. We just spoke about a retention issue, and that'll be very, very important, because we want to get the brightest and the best, and we want to be able to keep them here.
Last week, the U of A announced that world-renowned linguist Noam Chomsky had joined the faculty. I asked President Robbins about the significance of Chomsky's appointment for the U of A.
In my understanding, over the past 5 or so years, he's retreated from Boston, usually during the winter months to come and be on campus to visit with his former colleagues and mentees, to have exchange of ideas, to give public sessions. My understanding is that a couple of years ago there was some incredible conference or where Edward Snowden and Chomsky were having a discussion via Skype and Chomsky here in person. I think that's part of what we do at a university, is to explore issues that are related to society in a civil way, as I mentioned earlier, in an intellectual way to really discover, as we exchange ideas and different views on potentially tough subjects, that we could come to some resolution. Because at the end of the day, we're in the knowledge discovery and the knowledge transfer business. And the goal of the university is, how can we make the world a better place?
President Robbins' office is just a few steps from the shops and restaurants on University Boulevard. I sat down the other day with Jane McCollum, general manager of the Marshall Foundation, which owns and leases most of the property in the area. We started off by talking about how businesses are feeling about students' return.
Well, the merchants love the whole University of Arizona community coming back. It's not just the students, but I would tell you that all of Tucson is pretty quiet in the summertime, and we're really lucky down here because with the students coming back, our summer is much shorter than the rest of Tucson. So we're very excited about them being back, and we're looking forward to a great week.
Do many of the merchants have difficulty sort of surviving the summer months?
I would say they are prepared for them because many of them have been here a long time. I would say that they sometimes forget, but they also use it as an opportunity to reorganize their store, to do some remodeling. And many of them, with our urging, have created summer strategies. What do you do in the summer to draw other people in? And we've done that, we think, by tenanting our real estate with people that really have a whole wide range of community people who come. The university attracts people to its campus all year long. So we have people who come here and they like to come back, and they prefer sometimes to come back in the summer when it's not as crazy.
The Marshall Foundation has a unique structure. It's a major landowner and also a large charitable organization with a long history in Tucson.
Our founder, Louise Marshall, came as the first University of Arizona, well, she came as a graduate student and became the first female professor at the University of Arizona, and started buying up this land in 1901 on the north side of the street all the way to Speedway. And she was a great believer in women going to college. She had some health issues, so she liked things that related to health. Her money was given to her by her mother for the express purpose of helping those less fortunate. And so what we're concentrating on is education, getting people out of poverty, and we give a lot of scholarships to Arizona students. $500,000 go to the U of A to award scholarships to UA students every year.
There are a few vacancies on University Boulevard right now. Any plans for what's coming into those shops?
Well, one of the interesting things they're telling us in the real estate world these days, because retail is changing so fast, is that vacancy is opportunity. And so what we're doing is taking our time to look at how we want to fill that. We have 2 leases out for signature. One of those I think will be signed this week. The other one, we're not sure how long that will take, but we're not really as concerned with just filling the space and getting people in there, but having it be the right fit, that it not cannibalize somebody else, and that it indeed add value, and maybe, to what you're saying, attract additional customers that might not come to the university area. They're going to come because of that.
I also asked if the streetcar has brought many additional visitors.
The streetcar, to us, we weren't sure it would have any benefit. We have the university right next to us. The way the city is advertising the streetcar, at least in the initial stages, has been to have the university hop on and come downtown. What we found, and we were delighted to find this out, is that people also come from downtown to the university. And not everybody wants to eat where they work. And so that's a great thing, so that we get a diverse customer. General Ben's manager told me that he sees a more diverse customer at lunchtime in particular.
How much thought is put into striking a balance between local businesses and national chains?
Well, I would say that when I got here, because it was a new development, or it was a redevelopment, actually, a $69 million redevelopment the Marshall Foundation was doing, they looked highly at what we would refer to as credit tenants, meaning that there was more of a national tenant leaning. And when I arrived, I'm a person who likes to support local businesses. I try to do it in my daily life. And I know that Tucsonans really love the idea of shopping local and eating local. So we started looking specifically for local people that we thought would fit here, understand maybe the environment, add something to the environment, and so we've sort of skewed the other way. I would say we're 75% locally owned and locally grown.
Regarding the Marshall Foundation's own growth, McCollum says expansion isn't really in the cards right now.
We are a limited footprint at this point, and we're not buying, so we're probably not going to grow. You're not going to see us expand. I think as the environment changes, as retail changes, and we know that's happening nationally, we're going to see some things that change, and how do we react to them? So we're reading a lot, we're looking a lot, we're attending those seminars. One of the advantages, I think, of being by the university that gives us maybe a little bit of an edge against the retail is the woman who's shopping across the street wants it that day. And they can't even wait for Amazon at this point. So they will walk across the street to buy it. So I think we have an advantage there that maybe you wouldn't see in a normal retail mall or environment. People have to drive there. You know, by that time they can order it and it's practically on their porch.
The return of students and people who flee Tucson during the summer months is also a relief to businesses here in downtown Tucson. For the past 12 years, there's been a music festival here at Hotel Congress that's marked the end of summer. It's called HoCo Fest, and this year it's going big. But first, a look at where it came from.
Well, HoCo Fest started in 2005, ostensibly to celebrate 20 years of Club Congress, which was celebrating its 20th anniversary. And it sort of realized at that point we were so embedded in the music community, we thought it'd be nice to celebrate Tucson music at large. And so we brought back a lot of reunion bands. All these bands came back and had reunions. And it took off from there. It was such a successful year, we just perpetuated the event every Labor Day weekend.
And this year, of course, I mean, you still have a lot of local bands, but you're bringing in a lot of national and international bands too. So you're really sort of ramping it up this year. Why now?
Well, you know, this is the 12th year, and after 11 years of doing kind of the same thing, we thought with Matt here, we had a real great opportunity to reach out and find some incredible acts and do something completely different and be really uncompromising about the acts that we could bring into Tucson. So we put him to task at doing that.
And tell me a little bit about how you went about that job. What have you been doing, and what have your priorities been for the programming?
It kind of just happened. Dave was like, you know what? You've been bugging me for 5 years to try to do this, so here's your chance. And so I just started hitting up every inside connection I had, being, you know, very forward about trying to lock something in so we could build from that. And honestly, I got the right people involved, mostly all from Arizona, even though we all live spread all over the US, but we got a good team together and we pulled strings that I never imagined we could have pulled, and now we have this incredible curated lineup that is, you know, comparable to very few in the US that, you know, in my opinion.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Why is this so different to anything else that's being done anywhere else?
Well, a festival, you know, most people when they hear the word festival, they think like a very large production, something around Coachella, Bonnaroo, you know, the ones that kind of set the tone for festivals now. They think of something like that, but I see that model kind of fading away because it's too crowded, it's too expensive, it's losing the intimate vibe that, you know, a true music lover is looking for when they go to a performance. So, you know, you have other festivals like, an example is Forum Marco Santi, which is held here in Arizona, and it's curated to the T, even so much that every attendee puts in an application to get a ticket to attend the festival. Like, it is completely curated, which is the opposite of, you know, something that's so big that every radio artist is on that you just have to pay $500 and you're in, baby. Like, it's the opposite of that. And then you have another one on the East Coast that comes to mind called Basilica Soundscape, where it's a getaway from the city. It's curated top to bottom. They add other elements besides music that are supposed to make it more of a community cultural experience. And so I take inspiration from things like that, not just those festivals, but other events I've been to all over the world. And, you know, I want to do something like that in Tucson because I believe Tucson is a personable place and it has a very intimate vibe, especially this particular venue.
So Hotel Congress is, of course, always cultivated local artists and really been, you know, a stage for local artists to start off before going on to sort of a more prominent national or international stage. How are you striking the balance between still sort of cultivating that and supporting local artists and really attracting these larger acts?
I would say by really cherry picking this year in particular, the best of the best. Typically we've had a bunch of wonderful acts, but this has a different, almost international view of it, and I think a lot of people are looking at it differently. So we really want to showcase some of the best ones from Tucson this year.
And, you know, it's also that some of our strongest locals that we included on this are, in a way, an anchor for like us trying to expose the community to something new from outside of Tucson, and then also to expose the community from outside of Tucson to our community.
How much can we take this sort of ramping up of HOCO Fest as a sign of downtown Tucson's revitalization or wider Tucson's economic performance?
I mean, you can look at it as something about the vitality of the Tucson cultural scene happening, but I truly look at it as Hotel Congress doing what we do and expanding upon that and having such wonderful, creative, energized people like Matt who keep coming around this place, and it just keeps revitalizing itself. I think it's about Hotel Congress more than anything.
Do you see this sort of getting bigger, outgrowing Hotel Congress as a venue sometime in the future?
100%, but I believe Congress will remain the pinnacle of not just this festival, but Tucson's creative downtown scene in general. So it's starting here as a great place to start, and then from there we go.
You said that each night is curated. Could you walk me through sort of the general idea behind each night?
Thundercat, the opening night, you have a very incredible live performance from a neo-soul funk artist who is very futuristic. And so that night is funk, it's forward-thinking, it's future, it's strong performances. Every night's strong performance. Thursday, we touch on the punk side of Tucson, which has always been relevant and always been strong, and we have locals like, Arizona locals like Gate Creeper and Destruction Unit. Then Friday, we touch two totally separate demographics. We have something that's very relative to Tucson right now, which is, you know, kind of the riot girl scene, and just ladies taking a big stand in the community. And then we honor like what Tucson is, you know, kind of known for, which is our Latin stage outside, and the only stage we really kept from previous HOCOs. And then Saturday, we have like a psych rock stage outside, psych, just rock and roll. And then indoor, we have like a very left field, forward thinking electronic stage. And then Sunday, we have Lee Fields, which is just a legendary soul act that if you don't know, you should know. He's incredible. And the end of the night on Sunday, we really just turn into DJs and we party to celebrate a 5-day crazy.
If I'm
still standing, you know.
Who are you trying to attract down to Hotel Congress? Are you really trying to reach audiences that don't come on a typical Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday
well,
night?
there's an educational basis to it, but we realize that it's really the music, true music nerd, as I mentioned, is really going to get into this. The people who like all those different styles and just like great artists from all these genres. And because of that, a lot of our marketing has gone outside of Tucson as well, because we know this is a very rare and specialized boutique event, and I think that's really who we're going to shoot for. I mean, we hope everyone, because of Congress' reputation, because of some of the great local artists that they're familiar with, they come in and see some of this stuff, because it's fantastic. There's no weak links on this whole event. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the beauty of Congress and why I love working here and why I want to do something like this here is it's a place for everyone. So I tried to book a lineup that literally can touch everyone. As long as you like music, there's something here for you within 5 days. And if you come the rest of the days, you might find something else. And that's really the goal and why it works here.
Poco Fest begins next Wednesday night and runs through Labor Day weekend. You can find details on our website. That's our show this week. Thanks for watching.